Part of Black History Month, we continue our read alouds. Today, we're reading Jackie Robinson Breaks the Color Line by Andrew Santella. Okay, it's part of a Scholastic Summer School series. It's not summer yet, but we are reading this book on Jackie Robinson. All right. On the opening day of the 1947 season, a Brooklyn rookie stepped onto the field and forever changed the game of baseball. He didn't hit a home run that day and didn't win the game for his team, but he did make history. He made history. He did it simply by wearing the Dodgers uniform and playing baseball. The rookie's name was Jackie Robinson, and he was an African American. In the mid-1800s, some African Americans and American Indian and Latino baseball players had appeared in professional games. But beginning in the 1880s, white professional players refused to play with and against non-whites. Team owners, league officials, and even baseball's commissioners supported this racist tradition. So until the 1920s, only white men could earn a living playing baseball in the United States. From late 1800s until 1947, Major League Baseball teams were all white. This photo shows the all-white 1889 Boston Braves. In 1920, the first professional baseball league for African Americans began play. It was called the Negro National League. Soon, more leagues were established for black and Latino players. By the 1930s, the Negro Leagues, as they were called, showcased some of the most talented baseball players in the world. But these great players had to work for lower salaries and under worse conditions than white players in the major leagues. One of the few baseball executives who sought to end segregation was Branch Rickey, general manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers. Rickey believed that racism had no place in America's national pastime. For years, he had ordered his scouts to watch out for the one special player who could break baseball's color line and become the first black player in the white major leagues. Rickey knew that player had to cross the color line, and he had to be an extraordinary person. He would need superior baseball talent to succeed on the field. He would need tremendous courage, and he would have to be intelligent, smart enough to handle difficult situations. This player never could crack under pressure or break under any of baseball's rules. If he were to fail in any way, he would fuel the arguments of those who supported segregated baseball and segregation. After all, after years of searching, Branch Rickey had found the right man. What was his name?
Jackie Robinson.
Jack Roosevelt Robinson was born on January 31st, 1919, in the small town of Cairo, Georgia. He was the youngest of 5 children. After his father deserted the family, Jackie, his mother, and 4 siblings moved to Pasadena, California. Jackie's mother, Mally Robinson, did housework for other families while working hard to keep her own family together. As they grew up, the Robinson boys became known as outstanding athletes. Jackie's brother Mac became one of the world's fastest sprinters. In 1936, he represented the United States in the Summer Olympic Games in Berlin, Germany. There, he finished second to Jesse Owens in the 200-meter dash. That means he was really, really fast. In high school, Jackie participated in every sport that was offered, and he usually was the best player on his team. At Pasadena Junior College, he was just as versatile. A baseball scout remembers seeing Robinson leave in the middle of a baseball game and change uniforms to compete in the broad jump. There he is, look. He was a star in football, basketball, and track and field. Then Jackie raced back to the baseball field to continue playing in the baseball game. His incredible talent earned him a scholarship to the University of California at Los Angeles, UCLA. Robinson became the first student in UCLA history to earn varsity letters in 4 different sports. He was the school's leading scorer in basketball and its best broad jumper. In football, he led the nation in running and in punt return yards. Jackie Robinson never graduated from UCLA. He was eager to make money and support his mother. So he left school in 1941 to find a job. He worked at a youth camp and then played pro football in Hawaii for the minor league Honolulu Bears. When the football season ended on December 5th, 1941, a homesick Jackie Robinson immediately boarded a ship for California. 2 days later, Japan attacked the U.S. military base at Hawaii's Pearl Harbor, and the United States entered World War II the next day. Within a few months, Robinson was drafted into the Army. Jackie Robinson was a versatile athlete. Here he carries a ball in a football game. Robinson was sent to Fort Riley, Kansas for basic training. At Fort Riley and at his later post at Fort Hood, Texas, Robinson came face to face with racial injustice. Robinson challenged military authority when he and other African American soldiers were denied admission to Fort Riley's Officer Candidate School, even though they met all the requirements. He also was dismayed by a lack of seating for black soldiers in Fort Riley's post-exchange, where soldiers sometimes ate their meals. At Fort Hood, Robinson was riding a bus when the driver stopped the bus and demanded that Robinson move to the back. In the 1940s, many communities required African Americans to take seats at the back of the bus, but this practice was illegal on Army posts. Robinson refused to budge. When the bus arrived at his stop, Robinson was arrested by the military police. He then faced a military court-martial for disobedience. Here he is in his military suit. After being put on trial by the Army, Robinson was found not guilty of disobedience. He was dishonorably discharged from the Army and returned home in 1944. But he remained angry because he was a victim of racial injustice, even while training to fight for his country. After leaving the Army, Robinson decided to use his athletic skills to earn a living. He wanted to give baseball a try, but no major league team would consider signing an African American. No major league team would consider signing an African American. So Robinson joined the Kansas City Monarchs, one of the best teams in the Negro Leagues. Although the Negro Leagues were home to some of the world's best baseball players, the living and playing conditions were awful. To earn as much money as possible, teams often played 2 or 3 games in a single day. They traveled in cramped, hot buses. They were barred from many restaurants and obtained meals by waiting at the kitchen door to be fed leftovers and scraps. In most of the towns they visited, Negro team players were denied rooms in the good hotels. They sometimes slept on the floor in the homes of local black families. Players even had to spend nights sleeping on the team bus. Jackie Robinson's stellar play on the field earned him a spot in the All-Star team. And then he was approached by Branch Rickey. Rickey told Robinson he wanted him to play for the Dodgers. Rickey warned him of the stress that he would face. Racist white players and fans would taunt him, treat him unfairly, using bad language. Rickey shouted insults at Robinson, showing him what it would be like. "Mr. Rickey, are you looking for a Negro who is afraid to fight back?" Rickey replied, "Robinson, I'm looking for a ball player with the guts enough not to fight back." Rickey explained that Jackie must prove his ability simply by playing baseball, not by getting involved in fights or shouting matches. If the pitchers threw a ball at his head. If base jumper spiked his legs with spikes, Robinson would have to turn the other cheek and ignore it and walk away. Robinson thought it over. He was not happy playing in the Negro Leagues, but he felt uncomfortable with having to keep quiet if somebody insulted him. Breaking the color line would be very difficult, but it was an opportunity he could not pass up. He accepted Ricky's challenge. On October 23, 1945, the Dodgers announced the signing of Jackie Robinson. The first stop would be in Canada for the Montreal Royals, one of the Dodgers teams. Montreal fans immediately fell in love with his play, and he dominated that league. All right, we are 13 pages in, and there's another 13 pages. We'll finish this tomorrow, okay, guys?
Yeah.
Sound good?